So for some reason, don't know why, but for some reason, the official chapter release came out again on a Monday, not on Sunday, yesterday. So this is a bit stuffy. This is a bit because if it's always going to come out on Monday, hopefully not, because according to Viz, next chapter drops in 6 days, so that should be Sunday. So hopefully it does come out on Sunday, like the usual schedule. If it's going to be Mondays from now on, then there's a good chance I need to change my entire official chapter review schedule, like in a big way. But that being said, this chapter did have some noteworthy translation differences between the official and the scans, so it was, I think, worth it. And if you haven't seen already my live stream reaction to the chapter on Fridays, you could check that out on not only my Cole Requiem channel, but also my twitch.tv channel, link in the box below. So for this video, we're gonna break it down as per usual. We have the pacing, we have the character components, and the story progression components for this chapter, step by step and piece by piece. So let's get right into it. So first things first, the pacing. And for this chapter, oh, Gwen, oh, so good. Number one, the sea waters around Egghead Island with the Sunny Go and the Iron Giant robot. Number two is back on Egghead Island. Then number three, finally, is back to the waters, but in the New World waters with CP0. That's it. Yo. Yeah, yes! This chapter was a really well-paced chapter. 3 major points of focus. We're not jumping around all over the place per page. There's no flashbacks or time skips within these sections. Very straightforward and really focused. I like the pacing of this chapter a lot, without a doubt, because overall, it's very easy to comprehend this chapter for all readers. After pacing, we have character. For character, a lot of Vegapunk. So, first and foremost, Vegapunk 02. Her actual name is Lilith. Lilith the Evil, just like Tanya the Evil. Personality-wise, she seems to get irritated quickly since Nami insisted on being saved thoroughly by Lilith, but she wasn't having it. Like, nah, I'm not saving you no matter what. And then also, she got annoyed at Shaka for trying to tell her what to do. And so just like her moniker, the Evil, she seems very happy with the idea of taking treasure on board the Sunny Go. She also refers to Shaka as a, quote, do-gooder in the official translations as an insult. So right now, she appears to be a neutral evil, maybe even like a chaotic evil when it comes to how her character functions, maybe. We'll have to see in the future. She is still a genius nonetheless. She knows when Shaka is clearly right on his perception of the Strat crew at this point in time. So because of Shaka's advice, she does seemingly back down from attacking at this point in time. After Vegapunk 02 is Vegapunk 01, aka Shaka. Shaka the Good. So even though in the scans, at the end of the chapter, they have the notation for Shaka, which was logic/justice/correctness, in the official Viz translation, it is officially Shaka the Good. Though logic does make a lot of sense for Shaka, since he is a very observant and rational person. He knew immediately that Zoro and Robin were ready to strike Lilith down, despite them being surrounded by these colossal sea beast weapons. He's also seemingly still a very prideful person, a good-natured person regardless. Someone that in a sense really does encompass, you can argue, the Marine mindset and motto. He even disapproves of Lilith plundering pirates, stuff like that. One idea that folks had during the stream is that Shaka is modeled after Sora, Warrior of the Sea, the arch nemesis of Germa 66. And given his character mannerisms, his moniker, and his ideals that we can gather so far, at least, I believe that the official version of the chapter does a better job indicating this if he actually is modeled after Sora, Warrior of the Sea. Now after Shaka, we have Vegapunk 05. Her actual name is Atlas. Atlas of, or the, I guess, violence. So her clothes do say 06, but later on in the same chapter, on Kaku's papers, it says that she's 05. So I'm going to assume that the 06 on her clothes is an error on the part of Oda and staff, since it's already someone on Kaku's notes that is referred to Punk 06. So at this point in time, I'm going to say that Atlas, the violence, is number 5, not number 6. Now, Atlas looks like an oversized child, kind of like the kids on Punk Hazard who are now on the naval base G14 from the last chapter. So this could mean that there was some gigantification going on with Alice's structure. Also, Luffy says that she's as big as Kaido, who is officially 7.1 meters tall, 23 feet 4 inches tall. She has these animal appendages too, that I think are modeled after a sheep, but she's not a mink because she's not full furry, thank God. But nonetheless, she has the ears and I think a tail of a sheep. I could be wrong with that one, not too sure. And her hair also has split colors, like the gifter Speed on Wano Country, or of course, recently in the film Red Movie, Uta. Also, for personality, she seems to get even more upset than Lilith does. When Atlas was mad, just thinking about the lack of technicians or money that they have, she punches the hologram space monster to blow off steam. So you get the sense of her moniker, Violence, off the rip. Almost like Nami. When she's pissed off, boom, punch. It is what it is. Just like the other Vegapunks, she is a genius of science. If we take her words at face value, and Lilith is the one who created the faulty mecha shark in the last chapter, then Alice is the one who created the island weather controlling system, or the island AC as she calls it. So again, I want to specify here, it could be the individual works of these satellite bodies of Vegapunk, or it could be Vegapunk himself who made various things, but then the satellite bodies are taking credit for Vegapunk's work because in some sense they are also Vegapunk. You see what I'm saying? Alice also created this automated cooking machine, which reminds me something straight out of Megas XLR, that old school cartoon. Love that show. That show was amazing without a doubt. If you know, you know. But that being said, this machine can make up to 500 different types of food dishes, and each one can be made in under a minute. So this machine is the culmination of all of the Navron cooks from that awesome One Piece filler. So after this, there's something even more radical, which is the hologram punching. She is able to do this with these things called, quote, light pressure gloves, end quote, that can interact with light itself. Even light-based constructs, she is able to interact with these gloves. That is a very scary, because you could just think about what it can be used for in the future. Like if you could actually incorporate this into, let's say, pacifista, I feel like it'd be so powerful because it could somehow utilize maybe lighting the atmosphere around it as a weapon. Or let's say it fires a laser and then grabs that said laser with these light pressure gloves to do even more funky stuff. My imagination is running wild. But the light pressure gloves are low-key, I think, busted. And I'm willing to bet that the knowledge, old school Ty Lopez, the knowledge for these light pressure gloves probably originated from Kizaru's laser that Vegapunk created in all the pacifista. So this actually gives a lot more credence to the idea that the lasers in the pacifista are in fact Kizaru's lasers, because Atlas can actually interact with holograms via these light pressure gloves. So now we're done all the Vegapunks. Let's move on to Julie Bonnie. Bonnie confirms that Kuma is her father. So since Kuma is a former king of the Sorbet Kingdom, that makes Bonnie a former princess. And since Bonnie confirms that she visited Vegapunk on this island way back when she was a kid, it's likely that Kuma had left the throne around this point in time, since Kuma was already in contact with Vegapunk back then. And then finally, when it comes to this chapter review, the story progression components. Number 1, Vegapunk 02 reveals that she is not the main Stella body, so she is confirmed not Vegapunk. And as the scan states, Stella refers to a celestial star. So the star, being Vegapunk, And these satellites that orbit around the star, well, these are the Vegapunks that we see in this chapter listed off. Shaka the good, you have Lilith the evil, you have Edison the thinker, you have Pythagoras the wisdom, you have Alice the violence, and then you have York the greed. So at first it seems like Vegapunk is doing the Nagato. He is actually controlling each of these individual Vegapunks through some hidden room somewhere. However, because it's noted to by Kaku that they have to defeat all of the Vegapunks, including the main Vegapunk body, and we're seeing that each of the Vegapunks act independently, they argue and bicker, they have their own thought processes. It's more like somehow, some way, he was able to split his consciousness among 6 different bodies. I guess 7 different bodies if you want to include the main body. Is that even possible? Kind of. There's evidence for this, but it's not the same, but this would indicate that it is kind of possible to manipulate consciousness itself. And that's, you guessed it, Trafalgar Day. Voltaire law. It's always law. It's always law doing the most busted things. Law was able to take the psyches of Sanji, Nami, Frankie, and Chopper on Punk Hazard and flip them around through devil fruit usage. So obviously not the same, but he did take consciousness, psyches, and transplant that from person to person to person to person. So law is the indicator that these things are possible, and with tech and science in one piece, you can make the impossible possible. So I wanted to tackle all of that now because the stellar body stuff and the satellite body stuff at the end of the chapter are in conjunction very strongly. And we'll get to the impossible being possible really soon too, because there's more to that for this chapter. After that, we have Vegapunk 02 reveal more of these sea beast weapons. The shark in the last chapter might have also been one of these sea beast weapons too, but it was of course malfunctioning. After this, we have Shaka, and Shaka's advice to Vegapunk 02, Lilith, actually forces a stalemate between herself and the Straw Hats. And Zoro states essentially that we've got demand, so compared to the scan version, it seems to be we as the Straw Hats have demands of you right now, not me individually. After that, of course, Bonnie explains why she's here. She's here for her father, Kuma. After that, Luffy and company arrive at a hologram futuristic city. And on top of this dome, we see the text SSG. Now, this city consists of both real and fake hologram objects. And when we see the actual themes of the city, to the moon! Space. Nothing but space. And of course, you guys know me. Space and the moons, always, always on my mind. So a video or videos plural, of course, in the future, diving deeper into these subjects. Good. Like I said before, this city consists of real and quote, fake hologram objects, end quote. Why is that important? Vegapunk 05, Atlas, she shows them the city functions. And she also talks about what defines real. With technology, again, she could interact and punch light itself, which seems impossible, but at the same time, there are many, quote, impossible things that have been created through science in the world of One Piece. Even in this chapter, Jinbei talks about the giant robot hologram and how no one could make something like that, this giant robot thing. And yet, we've seen this titanic giant robot carrying the Sunigo and the colossal sea beast weapons themselves. Even the space monster hologram, you can trace back to the dragons on Punk Hazard. And you could argue mixed in to some degree with the Alabasta Banana Gators. You really could. And the idea essentially is things that are myth, fable, things that shouldn't be real wind up becoming real. So Alice's words, I think, are actually a very important indicator on Vegapunk's mindset particularly. Making things that shouldn't be real or plausible actually plausible. So tech is a very important thing in the world of One Piece. A lot of times it's underrated, but I do have a video talking about tech coming out later on, hopefully this week or next week, because we have to dive into honest to God, one of the major power systems of the world of One Piece.
Hey!
After that, Rob Gucci, Stussy, and Kaku are coming to Egghead Island. Now, because the title card says New World, and we don't see any snow where they are right now, it looks like it might be a day or a few days journey for them to actually arrive on Egghead Island. Very similar to the strikes themselves in chapter 1060, where there's a time skip forward and it takes them a few days to get to Egghead Island. After this, we have a Bartholomew Kuma? No, we see Black Wings. Seraphim inbound, though no white hair. Just like how Seraphim Mihawk and Boy Hancock were younger, they also had white hair like the Lunarians do. But this Kuma version, maybe it was an Aaron Otis part, maybe, but they still have the black wings of the Lunarian. The only reason why I know now that this Kuma is like an adult Kuma is because of the face. Kuma, when he's older, has a very, very sturdy jawline, like really, really rock solid jawline, whereas his kid version has much rounder and softer facial features. But it's hard to tell because Kuma's a big boy. Whew. And then finally for story, Rob Gucci comments about the Lulusia Kingdom relating to Dr. Vegapunk. Very, very interesting here, because the options on what Imu, the Gorosei, used to destroy that kingdom with the 16 death rays are somewhat plentiful. There's options here. But because of Rob Lucci's words, it seems like the options that surround Dr. Vegapunk, those stocks are going up. Yes. And it also proves that whatever is being used here is very secretive, because CP0 members don't know what's going on. So Gorosei, Imu, they know the drill. Everybody else, you know nothing. Like Jon Snow, you know nothing. So, final thoughts for this chapter of One Piece. The McDonald's slogan. I'm loving it.
Now go ahead. Get a taste of that Big Mac. It's really good.
I like the pacing a lot. We are focused. Boom, boom, boom. We're not going all over the place when it comes to, let's say, flashbacks or timely forwards. No, we're very structured to the point. Number one. Number two is that because of Rob Gucci coming in and because of the 6 different versions of Vegapunk and various things like that, I think this arc is going to be longer than a lot of folks, including myself, anticipated. If you thought that there's going to be, let's say, a Reverie short arc or a Zoe length arc, I would extend that time frame by, let's say, 25 chapters minimum. Yeah. And then do not underestimate Rob Lucci. Rob Lucci has the skills to pay the bills. I'm willing to bet a lot of money on that. However, the Marine base G14 is still there, and we haven't seen Smoker yet. And I like the focus now on the tech. As I've said for a long time that tech needs a lot more recognition. A lot of folks have complained about how, well, characters like Usopp or Chopper or Frankie, they need hockey. But do you though? Do you though? And now in this arc, I think is the time for these cats to shine the most. The tech stuff that we're going to see in this arc, and potentially what the Strats are going to gain from this arc, I think is going to be along the lines of what Alice herself hinted at, or at least what I think she was getting at, which is blurring the line between reality and fiction, making the impossible possible with tech. So, overall chapter rating, a 7.5 out of 10. This is a good plus to a great chapter of One Piece. Yes, 7.5 out of 10.